Welcome back. Episode 12 of the Full Programme Golf Podcast with me, Josh Conlon, and as always, we'll be chatting with Stevie McAvoy. Today, we're going back to South Africa. We've talked through Cape Town, talked through the Western Cape in a little way, but we're going the full garden route where we're seeing some proper tracks. Let's get into it. Stevie, how are we doing?
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, you know what? Very well, very well. Feel the weather's deserting us a little bit, but feeling good. How about yourself?
It has. I enjoy the complete outfit swap that we've done from last episode to this.
It had to be done, didn't it? Nice clash. Navy black clash. That's what we want.
We've only got a certain number of colours we can rotate through. Of course. They might get a white on the next episode. Might be a double white. Who knows?
Keep up your sleeve. Don't give it away.
Yeah, the weather has deserted us a little bit, unfortunately. But I do think that every golf course up and down the country did need a bit of rain. So whilst the garden's growing a bit too quickly, at least we've now got some grass on fairways and greens.
Yeah, or just like dried mud. But what I will say is, you know you're a real golf perv when you see the rain and you're going, God, great for the golf course. Great for the golf course, that.
It needs to be, because I feel like the vast majority of clubs go through maintenance week around end of July, beginning of August. And it always pains me because they're always looking good. As I think we spoke on the last episode, we're always getting into kind of the meat and the potatoes of the golf season. Your game's starting to find a bit of a rhythm, and then bang, they come through that heinous machine, those punch holes, the sand. It's not good, is it?
It's not. And I could complain about it forever, but the courses will only be worse in the long run if they don't do it. That's what we've got to keep telling ourselves. It is particularly frustrating when end of July, early August, you've arranging a game of golf. Typically, you're excited. Weather's typically pretty good, and you get there, and you may as well be putting on a field.
What's the typical turnaround time? I mean, it feels like a month normally. Would that be correct in saying, if you get good growing conditions to get it out?
Probably say a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think we've just seen it where our club don't seem to look at the weather forecast and they just do it after the rain and then do all the greens and it's just pure sun and they just burn them to shit. So,
but our new course manager has now begun, so there is hope.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
But we've got a big event, not this coming weekend, but next. And so we are hoping for as much recovery as possible because it's the biggest one of the year for us, isn't it?
It's massive. Ryder Cup, 12 Team UK against 12 internationals. So not quite a Ryder Cup as you would obviously have Europe, but yeah, it's the big one. It's the one we're all playing for. It's the one we're trending for the season. You always start seeing a few cards are starting to go in. You start pulling together people's handicaps, thinking about pairings. It all starts opening ceremony Thursday night. Can't give any more than that, but we're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. You say Team International. Selections made by Team International this year are slightly suspect, I'll say. But do you know what? When it just hasn't been competitive, needs must, I suppose.
Yeah, they're unscared, aren't they? I think. Yeah, we got a friend, haven't we, who might be one of the most English blokes we know, who apparently maybe stepped foot in Ireland at some point through his 30-odd years, and now apparently he's part Irish, so he's now playing for Team International.
Well, he did actually come on the Dublin trip that we did last September, so I think he's probably leaning on that.
Yeah, of course. And to be fair, that historically would get you an Irish passport, wouldn't it? Good for EU. Good for travel.
No, but I'm looking forward to it. I said it's you just hope you play well because it's a crippling week if the game's not where it needs to be.
I think it's that Saturday evening, the dinner that we have, and then sort of the fines, the court session that we typically have. You're standing on zero. There is inevitably you're called out, you're brought to the front, you're berated, rightly so. So I think that's the place to really be. But I do think it starts getting in your head there. If after Friday 2 sessions have been played, you're still sat on the donut, you're in a bit of trouble.
You are in a bit of trouble. So, I mean, for the listeners that don't know exactly what we'll go through, we go through the full thing. So we play all 5 sessions. It starts with dinner on Thursday night. We then have 36 on Friday, foursomes, 4 balls. We have 36 on Saturday, same again, and then we go single Sunday with the big dinner Saturday night before, I suppose, the closing ceremony on the Sunday. So we do it right. And whilst it is a weekend of playing golf with all the same people we play with all year round, it is the most competitive, most pressure filled for no reason other than the fact that we just don't want to lose to each other.
Yeah, it's quite a special weekend. I think it's very rare that you get 24 guys with families or not, but busy schedules commit to a weekend a year in advance. Like genuinely, it's like, when is the weekend? When's the Ryder Cup going to be? You get it in typically second, third week of August. I'll be there. 24, we typically don't change our team. Team UK's almost dead man boots to get into. Full kit, everything. Yeah, it's quite something. It's really quite a special event. We talk about the competitiveness, but I think it really does go down as one of the best weekends of the year for all of us.
I wonder how many wives and girlfriends over the kind of 6-year span that we've been doing it have been bitten off at the end of the nose when they've suggested to do something that way. Oh, can't you rearrange? No, I can't.
Well, we know that the Chase honeymoon was moved.
The Chase honeymoon was moved.
The Chase honeymoon was
that's sensational.
Was moved due to the date. I know that for sure. That's been confirmed, and I think. Knowing Bish as well, he's had a couple of times where he said, "Oh, can we do something else?" It's no. That's the date, and obviously he's made it, which is great.
Mrs. Chase is a golfer, though, so I think she would have had complete and 100% respect for what we were going to do.
Absolutely. That's all you can say.
Not that the other wives and girlfriends don't, but I just think, in particular, I thought I'd mention. Right, what's been going on in the golfing world the last week? So we had a Cam Young win on the PGA Tour last night.
Interesting, that wasn't it? First time. What's he had? 7 seconds, something like that. Second at the Open as well when Cam Smith won. So he's shown a bit of pedigree. I saw there was a tweet not actually that long ago, probably a few weeks ago, that basically was like, Cam Young will never win an event, and they actually had to send out an apology. I saw earlier today, which was quite funny. Won by 6, pretty comfortable, leading by 5, bogeyed the first. And I thought, here we go.
Yeah.
Wheels are coming off. But no, and then I think he then followed it up with 5 birdies in a row and just done.
Yeah, winning a PGA Tour event by that many, you don't see that often these days. Obviously, in the Tiger era, he kind of blew fields away. We saw Scotty win one, I think, in Texas earlier this year. That was a bit of a landslide. But normally, they're pretty close each week. So it was good to see him get over the line. He's a good player. Like now he's a winner, and he's in that circle. You can say, he's on route to having a pretty good career here.
You got to be thinking, is he now a backdoor shout for the Ryder Cup? He's proven match play player. He's
he's going to be better than Brian Harman in that team.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think he might come in? What's quite interesting is both he and Thomas Detry, who have both won for the first time this year, two worldwide known good golfers but couldn't get the job done, have both won by millions. I think Detry won by 5, might have been 6, might be doing him a disservice. Young's won by 6. It'll be interesting to see the next time that they're competing whether they still feel that they haven't done it under the pressure. I mean, that might be a silly thing to say, but is it going to be 1-2 shot lead? Wow, we feel different nerves than we did at 6.
Interesting thought. I mean, you look at the last person that I can think of who was that, can they get it over the line, was Tony Finau, and then he went on a bit of a hot run where he won a couple of times. So I would have thought that psychologically getting over that hurdle is an absolute floodgate moment when you're a good player like those two are. And so, I actually think Cam Young's a great shout for backdoor Ryder Cup team for that US side, and I think he'd do well in that team at Bethpage as well. He's got a good golf swing. So his dad's a PGA Pro, which I think is, if you wanted to set your son up for success to make it to the PGA Tour, being a PGA Pro who then just coaches them probably from the point they can walk onwards is seems to be the way to go, doesn't it?
JT's dad did it as well. We talk about Project Mbappe. Maybe it's Project Cam Young. Maybe people got to be focusing on that now. But here's the question. I think the answer's pretty obvious. So if you're Keegan Bradley, are you picking yourself or are you picking Cam Young? if it boiled down to that. I know there's loads of other names in it, but for me, you're going Bradley every day.
Yeah, if Bradley's not captain, I think Jim Furyk, who's been spoken about as this potential kind of like faux captain for the week if Bradley does play, I think he picks Bradley. Keegan Bradley's actually really good. Like as the US side goes, Keegan Bradley, I would say, is their top 5 players. He's probably 5th, 6th. Like he's right in like the middle meat of that pack.
He's world number 5.
He's world number 5.
He's world number 5. He's like 5 or 6 now. When Fleetwood completely caved in, at TPC River Highlands, great track. He went to world number 5. So I don't know what he's done. He's done all right at the Open.
I don't think he's as high up as 5 in the Ryder Cup standings, though.
He's 10th in their standings because it's like a 2-year money.
Because his whole thing was like, if he's automatic, he'll do it. And I'd be really surprised to not see him in. But when does it get announced? You know,
it's got to be coming up, hasn't it?
It has got to be coming up. Yeah,
probably end of the month.
And Europe picks 6 wildcards now, don't they?
Same as America. They're both doing 6 and 6. I think typically it's been after the second of when it was 4 playoffs. I think it's now 3, is it? Because I always remember Billy Horschel then went and won 2 weeks in a row and hadn't been picked.
I think Chris Kirk had the similar.
Chris Kirk,
yeah.
So I think they've amended that. So I would anticipate that it's a little bit later than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Exciting for that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. The secondary Ryder Cup.
yeah. It's not as good as ours. So.
What else? It was obviously the Women's Open at Porthcawl. I thought it was great to have Wales get a big event like that. I can't say I caught a huge amount of it, but I did see that hole in one, which was a little kiss off the ball that had made it to an inch to the cut, which I thought was quite fun. Yeah,
that's lovely. I saw someone put, does it count as a hole-in-one? I thought that was maybe one of the worst takes ever.
I think it's like the best hole-in-one ever.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it was a good event. Charlie Hull obviously made a nice charge on Sunday, had a bit of a go. Still not won a major. Will it be an what-if career if she never wins one? You know, everyone has been talking about her as the next big thing.
The female Colin Montgomery.
Couldn't look completely...
Oh dear!
I'm sure she'd love that.
Yeah. What a comparison that is. I mean, if you don't want to go Colin, you can always go Lee Westwood. So.
Hey, Lee's in the shape of his life.
Lee is in the shape of his life. That is actually very true. But no, it was a good hole-in-one. Number of hole-in-ones in your playing career?
Managed to snaffle a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Both in tournament play.
Lovely.
I had a walk-off hole-in-one on 18th at Abbeydale in Sheffield, which was nice. I actually had a horrendous day. It was a back left pin, and I had to hit a 3/4 shot with a club longer because I couldn't swing it properly because I was horrific. And it went in, which was great. And
see it in? Was it the one you dream of?
I knew it was good. It was heading straight towards the pin, but then it's just a bit of a drop off at the end, so I couldn't completely tell you whether it was. It's an uphill par 3, so I couldn't quite see it, but knew it was in. Didn't really get a reaction from the patio, so you then start questioning. But no, it was in.
Nice.
And then gold medal RMS 13th hole on the Taylor, 333-yard par 4. That was what it measured at. Again, a back left pin driver. Albatross, thanks for coming. So just need the par 5 to complete the set. How about yourself?
One, which I got on the 16th at Colchester Golf Club. A quick club swap within my routine. Went from the 9 to the 8. And then, slotted it back to a little back right pin. That was probably 11 months after I started playing golf, which is now 14 years ago. I don't think I've come particularly close since.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, there's guys who have none, and then like Brian Kelly, like one of the guys we know, I think he's got like 9, 10. It's madness. But what I'd like to think is you got less chance of a hole-in-one hitting the ball through the air than you have running it along the ground. So maybe
we've actually had
aerial.
We've had quite a few of the boys tick them off lately. Actually,
yeah.
Cookie had one, Greg had one. It's
Ryan.
It feels like slowly but surely. My time's going to come when I actually got mine. I saw it go and wedge itself up against the pin, so the ball didn't drop. And I had this back and forth with my two playing partners. I was like, I think that's gone in. And they both were like, no, it hasn't. You can see it. And I was like, not really in the space to push back on the two, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just kind of walked up, and it just didn't really give me that I can go mental moment. And so I'm just going to just pin it for you. The next time it goes in the hole in one shot on a par 3, I'm going to go absolutely ballistic to like an anti-social level, and I'm just going to put it out there.
It's good to know. You heard it here first.
So what else? Happy Gilmore obviously came out. I know you haven't managed to watch it yet, but I did slot it this last week. I don't think I've ever seen a film with more featured celebrities in my life, and I don't even think there's going to be a close second. The credits at the end of the film rolled for 11 and a half minutes. It was page after page after page after page of people, and there was probably a whole 2 pages where it was just like Brooks Koepka played by himself. And so it was silly, but it was just kind of what it needed to be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just had lots of people in it. It had some nods back to the old first movie with features and blah, blah, blah. Will Zalatoris playing the part of that blonde.
Nice, caddy.
Like, they actually, like, they have them side by side in the film. Like, they actually look spookily similar. And I thought that was a particularly good bit. And I won't spoil any more for you, but it is what it was. It's not going to win an Oscar, but it was just good Adam Sandler fun. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do love Happy Gilmore. I know what I'm sitting down for with Happy Gilmore 2, and it's not going to be a spectacle. I just don't think there was a need for another one. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm sure it's cool, but I'm probably being a bit of a Debbie Downer on it, so I'm just going to stop.
Well, I think the Netflix viewing figures were absolutely ridiculous. So
they made the money then.
Yeah, they certainly did. Cool. Anything else on the week in golf?
No. I think let's get into South Africa and let's think about some sunnier pastures.
Yeah,
we're sat in currently.
So we've obviously, if you go back through the podcast archives, we did South Africa, which was not the last time we went, but the time before that, which we split into 2 because we covered a lot of courses there. So we went back this January, and what I feel we did is we're now relatively seasoned in going down that part of the world. I think it's 4 or 5 years in a row now. And I obviously spend a lot of time down there in the winter. We kind of finished the garden route.
Yeah.
Or kind of even the whole south coast. There's not really a huge amount left to do. So we hit some spots, and so how did you do it? Shall I give an overview, or should we just start and roll through slowly? What would you like?
Let's get the overview. Let's get the feel geographically where we're moving, and then we can start tipping into golf course.
Okay, so this is how we did it. We flew into the Eastern Cape and found ourselves in Port Alfred to start with. You get there by basically flying into Port Elizabeth or East London, and it's about an hour drive. It used to be quite a kind of popular kind of holiday seaside town is probably the best way to put it, and we've got a friend that's got a place there, so we started there. So we did Port Alfred, then we basically moved west from there. So we then played Humewood, which is quite a historic course in Port Elizabeth, and then we moved to the kind of Neisner Plettenberg area, where we played Pazula, Plettenberg Bay, Samola, then
Goose Valley.
Yeah, within that. And then before we went Goose Valley, we made our way back a little bit east to play St. Francis Links, which obviously hosted a DP World Tour event. So we felt like we needed to get that with the whole group. As I said, Josh did Goose Valley the day after that. Then we moved more west back to kind of towards George area, where we played at the spectacular Pinnacle Point, George Golf Club, and then we finished at Fan Court, which we did cover last time. We'll touch on it quickly, but that is just kind of an anchoring point for us because we absolutely love it there.
Yeah, it was what I would say from the outset was the golf was spectacular. We covered a lot of miles, and I think we covered it in a season when it was a little bit quieter, wasn't it? Sort of Plet.
Yeah, so we stayed in Plet for a couple of days. Plet is kind of, how can I describe it? If you've got absolutely shed loads of money, Normally, Joe Burgers, financiers, they normally have these big houses down in Platt, but it gets very popular around Christmas because South Africa essentially closes for a couple of weeks over Christmas. We went first week of February, and by that point, a place like Platt kind of clears out a little bit. But look, it was still South African summer, and so the golf courses in particular were in fantastic nick. So, bit of a delay getting yourself out there, though, wasn't there?
Oh, God, yeah. God, you're making me revisit a real tough point. Yeah, so four of us were scheduled to fly out on the Monday evening out of Heathrow. We were going to go into Joburg, and then, as you mentioned, quick little switcheroo and head to Port Elizabeth, Quebec, as it's now obviously been renamed or named back to how it was previously. But wow, really,
wow, God, thanks for that.
History. So we're sat on the plane. We've been sat there for probably an hour.
British Airways
Heathrow. Yeah. Would give them a shout out, but this is a bad story, so maybe they don't want the shout out for this one. And, we're kind of just settling into the first couple of drinks that come as part of the sit down experience, as you know. And pilot comes on and he's like, hello. Couple of issues. We can't quite get some of the whatever it was. I think it was the altitude-ometer or whatever. It was part of the computer system of the plane. Wasn't working. Wasn't doing what it needed to do. Wasn't having it. He's like, we've got an engineer coming, rest assured. We're flying, we were meant to be flying at sort of 8-9 o'clock, so they've got a shortened window of getting an engineer there without it being curtains. Gets to about 11 o'clock. Engineer is arriving. Bad news, everyone.
Oh, no.
It's not looking good, but give us another sort of 15 minutes. We've got a little bit more of a window before we basically have to abort. Unfortunately, you know where this story's going. They didn't get the work done, so we had to abort and
deboard the plane.
Had to head back and restart, and then the next day, that Tuesday, was just a mad scramble for trying to get tickets, trying to get on a flight. We managed to, but we missed only one round of golf. So yeah, it was
the psychological knock that getting yourself all the way out to Heathrow, getting yourself through check-in, getting yourself through the airport beers, getting yourself onto the plane, sat, for then a period of time to be told, nah, not happening, pal.
Yeah, shout out to the pilots for the brass band. There were four of us, as I mentioned, that were sat in the pilot's bar in Heathrow, getting really merry, getting really jolly, that were all impacted by said transport issues. So just shout out to the boys there.
Yeah, but you made it in the end. So look, we went first round, and it was Port Alfred, a track that I'd played before. Now we get reciprocal at Port Alfred because it is a Royal, and I know you were very keen to play it to kind of tick it off as one of the ones that's offered kind of through our golf club. We had a lovely match against them, but golf course wise, what do you think of Port Alfred?
Fun. I thought that was my overriding feeling. I thought fun. I thought it was in good condition. So certainly the greens, and that's really what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting any more than that because it's not one of the top ranked courses, but I thought it was really lovely. Actually, I know we got beat as a group, didn't we, against a few bandits from their side.
Yeah, I think it's a course that suits the member. Like it's very windy when it wants to be. It's quite undulating, and if you play it regularly, I think you have a huge advantage. So yeah, we did get our asses handed to us, but I agree with you. Really fun track. I wouldn't necessarily say you travel miles out of your way to play it.
No,
but if for whatever reason you find yourself in Port Alfred or East London, maybe, then it's really good fun. It's a good club. It's very warm. It's very merry. We had a great time afterwards. And so it was good fun to just kind of kick off in a very casual way.
Yeah, definitely. Good patio, good putting green in front of it. As you say, very, very sociable. Great hosts, gracious hosts. The proper South African hospitality that you expect was given to us. It was brilliant. Yeah, as you say, if you're in the area, go and play it. It's good fun. Wouldn't necessarily drive all the way out there if you're not
Nice. We've got 1 million to go here, so we'll just hit some very fast rankings out. Your course ranking out of 5.
3.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then there's no range. The pro shop isn't anything to write home about, but I said the hospitality, the club atmosphere, because it's a real community hub of the town there, was very, very good. And so it's probably like a 3 on the 3Ps, but really it's just because it's a great time, but it's just, not amazing facility from that standpoint.
I agree with you. It's 3. Good putting green in front of the patio where you can kind of have a few drinks and put on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no range. Pro shop's not so good. Perfect.
Yeah. Nice. So then we started making our way. So we loaded up the cars and so we headed to PE to play Humewood. Humewood is ranked incredibly high in Africa. It's certainly top 10. Not sure exactly of the number off the top of my head.
It was 4 when I played it. Not this time, the time before, but I think it dropped to maybe something like 6 or 7.
Okay. Thoughts on Humewood?
Didn't really change from what I thought previously.
I forget that you played it already. I did forget it. What were the conditions like that first time you played it?
First time, very similar actually to how we played it second time. We didn't get a whole host of wind. It didn't because it's known as the trees grow sideways and it's horrific. And I wouldn't want to be on that golf course with sideways wind. I think it has enough bother anyway. Yeah. I don't think it's a particularly scenic golf course, and I think that the clubhouse had very sort of colonial vibes, sort of real old. Yeah, like we wouldn't like to think who built it sort of feelings. I don't see the ranking. I think it gets the ranking maybe because it's historic and links but I don't. I wasn't blown away by it first time or second time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The wind wasn't heinous, but it was strong enough in points. There is absolutely nothing defending that wind. It's left me scratching my head a little bit. It was. I'm not even going to try and compare it to some links golf courses in England and the UK, but like it felt like one of those ones that had enough historical significance that the rankers just give it a good ranking. But as an actual golf course, did I enjoy it that much? No, not really. I couldn't tell you a hole sat here now. I
could walk you through them.
That's but what I mean by that is there where you go, wow, that par 5 was epic or anything like that. It just didn't have that. It was a good test. I think you'd be a good player if you were a 2 around Humewood. You'd be a hell of a good player.
Yeah, greens were good. The conditioning of it, given it's a links course, was good. Obviously you're going to be a bit rugged in the fairways, but the greens were very, very good, and they were when I played them before. Maybe that gets some ranking, but I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a faceless golf course. There's not really a standout. I agree with you. It's there for its history. It's there for other reasons.
Cool. All right. Let's fire some rankings off then. Out of 5 on the course.
See, I don't think it's better than Port Alfred.
No, nor do I.
Way. So I'm going to go 3.5. And given it's got a practice range and a okay putting green, I'll give it a 3.5 instead of a 3 for the 3Ps on the pro shop patio.
Yeah, oh, similar. I gave it a 3 on the course and a 3.5 on the other bits and pieces. So, it was interesting. I'm glad I played it. I'm not sure I'm necessarily going to be. I've actually got a friend that's a member there, so maybe I will play it again. But it was an interesting experience. As I said, I left a little bit kind of like bloody hell, that's ranked highly. So, anyway, so then we've finished off the Eastern Cape there, and then we head into that was pre-tour.
That was pre-tour. What I will say about pre-tour and Eastern Cape, one that I've heard good things about, would like to play is East London.
Yeah.
Don't know any more about that. I think the African rankings are a little bit all over the place. It's only about 27-ish, something like that. But, we've got friends who have played it. They said it's good. We've spoken really highly of it. And I believe it's held a DP World Tour event at some point in the past.
It almost certainly would have had a Sunshine Tour event. So yeah, cool. Then we're into the main bit, and so this is where we move into our digs for the next 6 days, where we had what can only be described as an epic villa in Plettenberg Bay.
It's one of those places that you set foot in and you go, I might never set foot in as nice a house as this ever again, which is also a little bit pessimistic, but it was outrageous. Yeah, it was an absolutely outrageous pad. Overlook, private access to the beach, big pool, hot tub area. It just had everything.
It was a proper bells and whistles place, and it gave the feeling of, if this was on the Californian coast, it'd probably be $70 million.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas because it's in South Africa, it's not.
Yeah.
And so what I would say is, if you do want to go on a trip and you do want to stay around that area, you can get these villas that are just mind-blowing, and you can tag them onto a trip and it not break the bank. And so I said, for the vast majority of the group, I think we felt like it was the most phenomenal place we might ever stay, and it was kind of within keeping of a decent budget. So that was very cool. And so from that as our base, we then really had what can only be described as a golfing marathon. And the Saturday kicked off at a course dear to your heart.
Pazula, what a place.
Pazula. So you may remember, if you're a hardcore FPG podcast fan, Josh bleating on about how good Pazula was from when he played it in pre-tour last time around. And so bit of pressure on your opinion going into the day, wasn't there?
There was. And I felt that pressure, I have to say. But as soon as we arrived, we had a great lunch, good setup on the patio that is lovely. Yes, there's no practice facilities, no range, just a small putting green, can chip to it, sort of before you then drive down to the first tee. But the more I sat there, the more I realised my take, as it often is, was just superb and absolutely on point. And what I will say, and I know it's kind of jumping the gun a little bit, I did get a couple of nice nods from the boys being like, you know what, that was really good.
It was phenomenal. It really was. And this is where you look at who on earth are creating these rankings, because Pazula is tens of places lower than Humwood, which I just, for the life of me, can't understand. Pazula was epic. You had a bit of a blend of everything, I felt. And so we're going to go on to courses kind of further down this list, which were very spectacular, but it was kind of consistent in the styling. Whereas I think Pazula had some really well-defined holes that kind of shaped through more kind of tree-lined and kind of dense bush-lined elevation changes still. That was kind of through the start.
The fourth hole, that dogleg left up.
Yeah. So there were some really nicely framed holes. And then it also had... it's on the back nine, isn't it? Where you then head out essentially to the cliff's edge, and the views are just unbelievable.
Yeah, every hole is on its own. It has almost fairway, bit of rough, complete drop off, gone, done. Typically views, you're high up in Pazula, so the views are stunning. You're right, you tick off the trees, you tick off a bit of water early on as well. But then, I think those holes sort of down like 12, 13, 14, as you're moving out towards the coast, even approaching the par 5 that goes towards the coast, and then you're hitting over the cliffs, and it is just spectacular.
It's a magic golf course, and I think it's along the side of it's an early-ish hole. I think it's like 6 or 7. There's a huge house with a Swiss flag, which I've been reliably informed is a Roger Federer holiday home, and so I think that's always a decent nod, because if there's ever a man that knows what class looks like, it will be him. It's the kind of club I would love to play all the time. I mean, that would just be unbelievable. It over delivered. Like, Josh really hammed it up, and I just thought it was brilliant. The only quite funny thing from I'm trying to think if we were in the same group together. Did you have the French couple that were up our backs?
Yes.
So you were in our group. So we're going along the back nine, and we're 3 4 balls, and we're all good golfers. We're all playing relatively quickly as it goes. And Pazula's difficult. Like I think if you're a really high handicapper, you'd struggle around Pazula. And this French couple, this old French couple, were just up our arse, and they were just trying to. They were like noisily forcing the kind of narrative that we were holding them up. And then we were at the par 5. What do you know what number it is? 13th, which is a spectacular hole, really brilliant hole down towards the sea, or the cliff's edge. And we were waiting for our group in front to go. And I was on the tee box, generally a useless driver of the golf ball, but I was like, I think I can hit where they're hitting from. And so we waited. And the French couple joined us on the tee and swiftly announced that we should be going because they're out of range. And we told them to politely F off. And then I stepped to the tee box with a bit of pressure now on because I've just waited for probably 3 minutes for these guys to clear at like 300. Unfortunately, it was a good moment. I just absolutely crucified, and you just look round, the two French people kind of just gave it up. Oh.
Yeah. And after that, we didn't see them again. They were happy to just leave us to it. And they actually ended up taking the chat pretty well. You know, we had a bit of a conversation with them. But yeah, it certainly helped that you hit a good one there.
Yeah, it was funny. So anyway, let's hit them with some Pazula rankings. I think we've had some before, but let's now have some refreshed ones. Now you've been twice and I've been once.
Pazula's just brilliant. 4.5. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'd play it every day of the week. I'd love to be a member. I'd love to have that as my golf course.
Completely agree. It is the most slammed on 4.5, and if it had more kind of global notoriety and history behind it, I think there's an argument you could say it's a 5. Like, it is awesome.
It's excellent. It's never going to be able to host an event. It doesn't have a range, and it's literally every hole. No spectator could stand in the ravine 40 feet below. So it's never going to get that added bit of kudos that it's going to need. But yeah, it's fantastic.
It's actually really difficult, I think, if you look at the top 100 to see any how would you call it, a resort course?
Yeah,
it's like a community course, like as in it's built with a community within inside the grounds, and that does just handicap a golf course when it comes to that global notoriety. But like, if you strip the houses away, it's mega. So 4.5, I agree. In terms of facility, clubhouse is phenomenal. I think the pro shop is good by South African standards. The logo is okay. No range problem. Nice putting green. 3.5, 4 is kind of the world I think it lives in.
Yeah, I think it's got to be. I think it has to start with a 3.
Yeah,
personally, just no range really does have to hit your ranking, because everyone wants to turn up and be able to at least clip a few balls. Found a couple of nets this time round. Didn't see it last time, so you could argue, does that help? But I'd give it 3.5, and that's probably with rose tinted glasses.
Nice. So Pazula was kind of, so we were kind of off in the main tour there. Now, within this trip, which spanned over 13 days, there were a couple of option days.
Yeah.
Now, would love everyone, the listeners' thoughts on this. When is too much golf? When is it too much golf? Because there were some mixed opinions in the group. Now, I sit on the fence of 10 rounds in 13 days is plenty. And that was kind of where I sat. But then I was in the quite large minority, because 8 of our 12 had 2 option days, and this Sunday was the first of the option day. And Josh certainly was the head man of wanting to play more. And so the first option day, Josh went off and played a place called Plettenberg Bay, whilst I sat at home and did nothing. So Josh, I'll let you tell them all about Plettenberg Bay.
Yeah, I think if you're going on a golf trip, you're going on a golf trip, aren't you? So, I mean, you get up, you play golf, you've got the afternoon to chill out. So yeah, 8 of us, 8 out of the 12 went and played Plettenberg Bay, which was a decent golf course. It had some decent holes, had some good holes. What I would say that was very nice was the hospitality. We were greeted well.
Proper country club, isn't it?
Proper country club. Really good patio. And we sent it that afternoon, I have to say. We left there pretty hot. We had a couple of the putting comps that we like to discuss on this pod. we had a couple of drinks as a result of that. We had a member of the group, EB, miss a putt and throw his putter and snap his putter during a putting comp, which then left him putting with a wedge for the rest of the trip as a result of Plettenberg Country Club. The course I would say is it sits in the Port Alfred bucket of, if you're in the area, which you're much more likely to be in because it is a great spot for holidaying. It is a great gateway to a lot of these proper big courses.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's worth playing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go there and play it just to go, if it was on its own? No, but it's not got to deal with that pressure that Port Alfred otherwise maybe would have. So I would say it's, again, a 3.5 golf course. Yep. I would say it's a 4 patio practice facilities pro shop because it had some good kit in it, which is not often seen in South Africa.
Seahorse, isn't it?
Seahorse, lovely club logo. As I said, good patio, good putting green. Just a really solid all-round experience, and would do it again.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, Josh slotted that in one of the filler days, and then we were all back to it the following day. So Pazula, we didn't mention. So Pazula, we were staying in Plettenberg Bay, but we were playing Pazula, and then this course that we played on the next day, Samola, which both reside in Knysna, which is about 45 minutes from Plet. Knysna is very popular kind of holiday town. I'd say it's quite an old demographic, Knysna, but it's very scenic, decent number of restaurants. And so actually, like, if you're considering where to stay, if it wasn't in George up the Garden Route, Knysna's a good spot. And as I said, so they've got Pazula there. They've got Knysna Golf Club, which I played, which is very flat, lots of water. I wouldn't necessarily say that should be on the hit list, but just to mention. And then I said on the Monday we were in Samola, so I think to compare Samola with Pazula will be quite interesting because they're virtually in the same place.
Yeah, what I thought was quite interesting was, whilst Pazula had the holes up high, Samola was almost a castle rooftop, like castle top, clubhouse, pro shop, etc. Everything. So you sat and we had our breakfast, albeit pretty delayed breakfast, and we were rushing to the first tee. But breakfast on that patio that sort of overlooked the golf course from like 100 foot up. You're looking way down onto the golf course. Whereas Pazula, just you saw the 18th and a bit of the first, but actually all the holes are up high.
Yeah,
I thought that was quite an interesting change up. Much more tree-lined, Samola. I think less spectacular in its scenic vistas. And I'm a big vista guy. I mentioned that a couple of times.
Huge vista guy.
But I thought a good golf course.
Yeah, I thought a good golf course. I think if someone tells you Samola's better than Pazula, you need to consider how trustworthy they are as an individual.
You can't trust anything they've said ever.
It's just not as good. Like it doesn't have the variation. You never find yourself on the cliff's edge like you do with Pazula. It kind of is kind of consistently like what maybe 4 or 5 holes from Pazula are like, if that makes sense.
For me, it was a step up from Plet Country Club, as it should be for its ranking and the way it's perceived. But it was a similar style to that, and there weren't too many holes where you're going, "Oh, this is magnificent." But the standard of the holes it's good, it's in great nick.
Yeah, and I said you get good views of kind of the Knysna Lagoon and stuff like that. But yeah, so as a result, I mean, I put the course as a 4 because it's not a 3.5 if we put the others at 3.5. But I would say it's just a very standard 4 on the course. And then from a 3P's perspective, kind of lives in the same kind of world as a Pazula.
Yeah, I would agree. Another resort course, 4, not quite as good as Pazula, better than Port Alfred Plet Country Club sort of banding.
Yeah.
But I think 3.5 again for the 3Ps. It's okay.
Yeah.
We actually had a nice meal there. The food was really good.
Yeah, we did.
And it's quite a beautiful setting, as I say. You're looking down on quite a good. I think the best views are from the clubhouse.
100%. And I think to give it its credit, it probably does just sneak into the, if you're going to do the Garden Route right, you have to do some category. Like it's just on the bottom end of all of those. So through Samola. So the marathon continues. So that was the Monday. We then go to the Tuesday where a bit of debate about when we were going to play this course because we ultimately just drove past it from Humewood to Plettenberg Bay, but we decided to push it further into the trip so that the late arrivers could go and play it.
Yeah.
That was St Francis Links, which is a pig's ear to get to. It's not near anything. It sits in between Port Elizabeth and Plettenberg Bay. But it's hosted numerous DP World Tour events and has a very good reputation, has a very good ranking. And so we made the journey out there to play St Francis Links. So what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, Tristan Lawrence won there, didn't he, earlier that year on the DP World Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Big surfing community, isn't it? My thoughts were it was mega. I really thought it was the gem outside of Fancourt.
Yep.
And, we talk about Pazula being very good. Pazula is very good. But what comes with St Francis Links is some of that prestige, some of that history. I think it was a real shame that they were doing the clubhouse and we didn't get the best experience of it.
Yeah.
So we were kind of stuck in the halfway hut turn restaurant thing that they'd created. But I also will say that fair play to them for doing that. It was still there's still some place for food, there was still locker rooms, still changing rooms, but you didn't get the whole experience of the thatched roof, St Francis Links look, vibe, all that. But I felt once you stepped out on that golf course, wow, I would not want to play that in decent winds.
Yeah. It was worth the journey, and so it certainly is on the must play list. And they said you're probably going to have to travel to get there. And if you're umming and ahhing, is it worth a 2-hour trip? It is worth a 2-hour trip. Like, it is incredible. What I would say, and it'd be interesting to get your description here, is it is Links in its style, but give us a bit of background on what that course styling was actually like.
Yeah, they call it a Links, don't they? But I guess similar to what I had a problem with Muirfield on in the last one is it's not by the sea. It kind of is, but there's no views by the sea. You don't go by the coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's Linksy in a way that it has some long grass and it kind of goes through some dunes.
Yes.
But I would also say it's in some areas where it's just like by the water and there's some, as in not the sea, as in it's just some man-made little lake bit. Going into the back nine, which isn't Linksy at all. That's much more of a resort type vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the best course we played on the trip. We didn't play the Links at Fancourt.
Yeah,
I think it's better than the Montague, and I think it's better than Pazula, and I think they're the three that you'd be looking at. What's the best course? Pinnacle Point in terms of views, phenomenal, but as a golf course,
yeah, and we'll
get onto that.
Yeah, so it's not completely coastal, like can't see the sea, but it's just inland, so you get winds. It's very dune based. A lot of the holes, so there you do go out into some kind of more typical kind of lake-based holes, but predominantly in dunes. And I thought the bunkering was fantastic. I thought the design was fantastic. I don't know how much earth they moved when making it, but it felt like it was shaped to the to the ground that was there. Who knows if that's actually true? And it was just a really, 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 really good test of golf. So had a fantastic time. It's a 4.5 for the course.
Yeah, I think it's a really strong 4.5.
Really
but
strong.
I agree with you. It's 4.5.
And then I said, hard for us to really then grade the 3Ps because we didn't get the full pro shop experience, but the full clubhouse experience because they're redoing it. But if we were to assume the clubhouse was open, driving range was good.
Yep.
I actually think the pro shop, whilst it didn't get me pulling the trigger or anything, has the capacity. I think if you catch it on a fresh restock, I think it was pretty good. And then the clubhouse looked like it was a good facility. So I'm in the 4 range for 3Ps.
I agree. I think it's a 4. I think it's a 4 that could easily be a 4.5 if you saw it in the right light of day. Open clubhouse, they're doing it up. Maybe it's going to be even better. So I think it's a 4, and I think it's a good solid 4.
Nice. So yeah, absolutely quality day down at St Francis Link, worth the drive. And then we moved into another filler day. So this was, as I said, Josh playing 12 rounds in 13 days. I took another day off, and you took the boys off to Goose Valley. Yeah,
the Valley of the Goose.
Is it anything to do with Teeth Goosen, or is that me just looking into that a bit too hard?
Just you, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't. There was no Retief merch anywhere in the clubhouse or anywhere, so I would suspect not. It was very much a last minute booking.
was.
You know, the Plett Country Club day was a pre-planned 8 of us are playing golf day, whereas this one was a very much, oh, this is the day off, and everyone came round to it, and it was like, no, I want to golf. I've not played enough. So 8 of us still wanted to play, and we were having a little look around, where can we play, and Goose Valley cropped up. And so what was very much the last minute choice, I would say, is better than Plett Country Club. I thought
Okay, that's an interesting comparison.
Exactly that, and I think that's worth knowing, because yes, there's a couple of holes next to quite a significant road that you know, it gives you a bit of sound bother, whatever. It doesn't really, but just like letting the listeners know that it knows what it is. It's a great hospitable place. It has a really good logo, actually. There's like a couple of geese just like fly in, and a couple of the boys pulled some trigger on some stash.
Did they?
It was well maintained. It was a very much a resort type course. You know, you've got some lakes. You're playing around a bit of water. Greens are in good nick. You're playing between some houses here and there. But what I really thought about it was a fun golf course that if you played well, you could take it apart, and if you didn't, it was challenging enough that it could bite you. Particular highlight: one of the boys, Crouch, good golfer, ended up winning the tour. Had about 80 yards into, maybe between 60 to 80 yards, might be doing a disservice, into the last hole. Full patio, overlooks the shot in and the green. And he turns to me, says, "What? I'm gonna rip this back into the hole." And he hits this shot, and it lands 2 foot long, bounces once, skips up, checks back, and just rags back into the hole for an eagle. And the patio erupts. The boys in front erupt. And I just thought that was quite a poignant moment for the experience we had at Goose Valley.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. And I was upset to not be there for that moment, because it sounded like a good one. Kind of from the week. All right, give us a quick rating on it, and then we'll get back into the meat and potatoes.
For me, it sits between. For me, if I could, which I'm not going to, it would be a 3.75. It's better than at Port Alfred, better than Plett, but it's not. It's not a Samola. Like there is no world they sit in the same bracket.
Yep.
It's going to have to be a 3.5 as a result of that, because it doesn't sit in that bracket.
Yep.
But it's a very strong one, and I think it's a 3.5 again for the 3Ps.
Nice, cool. So you mentioned Crouch, and I was going to jump in there, but I thought I'd just move us on to the next course before saying my piece there. So we then went to Pinnacle Point. So this is now moving back towards George, and we left our Plettenberg villa, and Pinnacle Point is about 50 minutes west of George, and I got the pleasure to play with Crouch at Pinnacle Point. I can't remember if it wasn't my first game with him, but it was a great game that I remember. Crouch at the time was off +4. I think he's in that range now. Like, we're talking about a seriously good player. He's about 6'5", left-handed, with
and the rest.
Yeah, with a classic looking golf swing, where he very much uses his full length levers. And it was my first time playing with someone who was just like, you know, we've got 2s, 1s, scratch players. Like, I think that's pretty commonplace between people we play with. Crouch was just a different level, and he did some things that week. As you said, he won the week, which was a handicapped Stapleford week, by like 6, which off +4 is just like, there was just no world anyone thought that was going to happen.
Pathetic from the rest of
Yeah, completely pathetic by the rest of us. And just the quality of his ball striking was unbelievable. He's just so consistent, and it was like a bad round of golf was like 5 over, and I was like, could you imagine turning up and being like, if I shoot 77 today on a par 72, I'm going to be like, oh, what a shocker.
He wants to kill himself when he does
what
that.
a shocker.
And just you know, obviously his name isn't Crouch. The reason he's known as Crouch, referred to as it, is in the essence of Peter Crouch. He is a walking one iron. I've heard him be described as a lanky string of piss. He is exactly that. He's a long beanpole.
So I'll go back to Crouch in a moment, but because there was a moment around Pinnacle Point that's worth mentioning. But let's jump into Pinnacle Point. Pinnacle Point, from the photos, was like, oh my goodness, like, what are we about to go and play? And so we get down there. Hit me. First impressions. What were your thoughts?
Just views,
just
vistas,
views
all day. We've spoken about Thracian Cliffs and it being a golf course that sells itself on its views, and spoken at length about how I don't think it's a golf course; it's a goat track. George, we're in George. Pinnacle Point treads that line in a way that Thracian Cliffs didn't. It has views everywhere, but it is a proper golf course that, you wouldn't want a medal card on it, don't get me wrong. And yes, there's some holes that are more fun playing because it's match playing. You can have a go at a driver over the sea rather than playing left to the fairway, which I'm thinking of the 8th hole there. But I thought it was a proper golf course. You could, if you played it well, you could score on it, whereas I didn't feel that was the case at Thracian. I thought it was mega. I thought it was really, really good. From a views perspective.
We got it on an unbelievably good day. Like, it was pretty much blue skies, wind was relatively low. I think there's a lot of days of the year where it's not like that. But I struggle to think when a more scenic golf course will turn up on my plate. It was spectacular all the way around. You kind of, first couple of holes kind of send you upwards a bit. I think it takes you till about 5 or 6 to get into like the good stuff.
Yeah.
But once you get into the good stuff, you basically all the way home just have the most sheer cliffside golf holes. That there was quite a fine a defined line, and it was like, you're in it or you're not.
Yeah, and before you start, it's one of those, if you put it in the hazard, do not go looking for it, because there are snakes and there are nasty snakes, because it really is that remote. You are playing these holes and it is like a canyon that is just you're dropping off, or it's the sea.
Yeah,
that's 100 feet again below you.
So like it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Do I come away from it being like, I wish I could play that every day, like Pazoo? Like, no, but it's bucket list stuff.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. And to back to Crouch, there's I think there was a 605 yards par 5, and he went driver 3-wood. The 3-wood was like 280 over a huge canyon to the green, just stuck it to 10 feet. And I was just like, at this point,
what do you make?
I actually can't remember if he binned the eagle. I think for the story we'll say he binned the eagle.
But I thought he knocked it past and missed the birdie putt.
No. It was definitely a birdie. But did he make it? But it was like phenomenal. But then you get 18 round to the clubhouse. I mean, words don't really do it justice. I think get onto our website, have a look at the course profile, and check out those pictures of Pinnacle Point, because they are phenomenal.
Yeah, and pictures don't do it justice, as you say.
So it's actually quite a hard one to rank, because it's kind of like, theme park golf almost. I have given it a 4-5 just because it's the easiest to tell stories about. It's the best to show pictures of, and I think this experience was very high. But where were you?
I was at a 4.
Yeah, I thought
I don't think it's a good enough course to be a 4-5. With respect.
Yep.
I agree with the reasoning you said it. Like, it's beautiful. For me, it's a 4. I don't think it's that great a course. Like, it's good. Yeah, it's great. Like, you know what? I've enjoyed it. Good views. Would I want to play it even like twice that week? No.
Mm-hmm.
Would I go back and play it? Yes, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I'd give it a 4. I'd give the 3Ps. Can't remember seeing a practice range.
So I will just say on the practice range, I don't think it's that close to where you tee off, but if you get there with enough time, I'm almost certain that the Louis Oosthuizen 57 Academy is at Pinnacle Point.
Right.
So my assumption is that the practice facilities are good wherever they are, but we didn't see them.
Fine, that helps. And then the weird clubhouse with that sort of circular levels to it.
Yeah.
It's just a big cylinder.
Reminded me of like a kind of like stargazing tower or something.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like weird looking thing. But like quite iconic, I suppose. And it was solid, wasn't it? It was good.
Yeah.
So I think
4.
Yeah, happy with that. And then we moved into kind of the final bits and pieces, which were in George, and so we played George Golf Club on the Friday, which I had a complete and utter shocker at.
I was about to say, are you sure you played it?
I know. Well, I tried to play it. It's one of these ones that just like it's worst round of the year by a country. Well, I was going to say country mile. Actually, I had one other that was in that same bracket, but those two were the worst rounds of the year by country mile. Yeah, just didn't see the golf course. Live rattlesnake throughout the bag for the whole day. Josh actually laughed out loud in my face when I told him what my Stoneforth score was, so we won't speak any more of it. So I'll just hand over to you to tell them about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't try and start talking through that course because, yeah.
I can talk you off one, iron in hand, lake down the left. Yep, hit it down the right, Stephen. Hooked it into the middle of the lake. See you later. Off we go.
I think it's another golf course that falls into the Goose Valley, Plett Country Club, Port Alfred group of it's a filler. But what I will say about George is it's a good filler. It is a good golf course.
It's rank, and yeah, I'm trying to keep my opinion away from this.
Yeah,
but like
you're not gonna like it.
Oh no, I hated it. We are going back this year though, so I've got a chance to redeem myself. But it's ranked very highly, like much higher than Goose Valley or a Plett.
And I can see why in the conditioning. I just mean it's not on the same category as a Pazula or Samola, so I'm kind of banding it at the top level of that filler trip. Again, you're in that neck of the woods. You're going to play Pinnacle Point. You're going to play Fancourt. I'd play all 3 of the Fancourt courses over George. But if you're in the George area, I would, even if you're staying at Fancourt and you've got an extra night, I would say go and play it. I think it's a very just country club type golf. You're playing through the trees. You've got a couple of weaker holes. You've got a couple of decent holes. It's just a standard golf course members golf course that you'd see everywhere. But good experience, not far from anything else if you're in the Georgia.
Yeah, and we're using it as filler again. Like we needed a game on our last day before flying out this year, and we popped it in there. So
the Hawthorne's a beautiful hotel nearby if you're not at Fancourt as well. So that's literally a 2-minute drive.
Yeah, shout out the Hawthorne actually. It's a really, really nice spot, and well priced at that. So I'm going to stay away from these rankings. So I'll let you take the course and 3Ps.
I'll give George a 4. It could easily get a 3.5, but I'm going to give it a 4 because I do think it's a level above. I appreciate Samola's a 4, so it's not quite the same. You're probably looking at Goose Valley 3.75. That's like a 3.8, but like we're not doing that. So it's just for me, it's going to tip into that just enough to get into 4. And then the 3Ps, 3.5, 4. I'm going to give it a 4 because I actually think the Pro Shop is good.
Pro Shop
I
is
think
good.
They have a good logo. Pro Shop's good, and normally that's where we see the rankings fade because our history tells us that the South African Pro Shops aren't quite up to the UK, America golfing Pro Shops that we'd expect with the logos. So I think the Pro Shop's good. There's a patio.
We've always had fun though, isn't it? Like on that patio, I think so.
Great hospitality.
Yeah. So yeah, George, good filler. And then a place we've been before, and so we won't spend a huge amount of time on it, but it still remains my favourite place in the whole world. And that is Fancourt. Now, unfortunately, we weren't able to get on the links this year. So if anyone from Fancourt is listening and just wants to get some links tee times reserved for FPG. So we're a travel business, and somehow my trip that I personally go on, I've not managed to get the links sorted. But it is one of those, and I think it's good for everyone to understand. The links is a hard tee time to get, and if you want to play it as you should. It's the best course in Africa, and I think rightly so. It's a 12 months in advance kind of situation.
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, we were a bit too late to the party this year. So we just did Oceaniqua and Montague, but still worth doing is what I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I think actually what the perspective it gave us this year, having always played the links when we've then played the Montague and then the Oceaniqua, is actually how good those two courses are in their own right. Yeah. The Montague is actually a really excellent golf course. I'm not dissing the Oceaniqua at all, but the Montague is genuinely a very good golf course. If it wasn't the second course at Fancourt, it would be a go play it. It's brilliant.
It's one of the best parkland. Would you describe it as?
Yeah.
I think you probably have to. It's one of the best parkland golf courses I've ever played. It is so good. I just love it. And so to dive into the weeds, because these are the kind of questions I asked when I'm there, the links is a separate membership within the Fancourt umbrella. And so if you're a Fancourt member, you actually only get membership to Montague and Oceaniqua. And I always kind of was like, oh, that would be a bit of a shame not to have the links in there. And it would be a bit of a shame, but it wouldn't be something to turn your nose up at. Like, these golf courses are absolutely spectacular. And obviously the hospitality staying in the hotel is proper 5-star stay.
Yeah.
And you just don't get 5-star stay in South Africa in many places. And Fancourt do deliver that, and they deliver that at a really good price, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. I think the thing to look out for is if you see anyone wearing Fancourt tops and it says Fancourt underneath, that's not from the Links Pro Shop. If they says the Links underneath, you know they've played it. Just giving you few little tidbits.
Yeah. So I think we can run through it quickly. So I say we're Montague, Oceaniqua. For me, Montague's better than Oceaniqua, so it has to probably be 4-5 Montague, 4 Oceaniqua. Yep. The whole kind of hospitality, pro shop, practice facilities, everything are probably a 4-5.
Yeah, it's as close to a 5 as you're going to get without giving it one.
Now, if you put the links in there, like links for me is like 5-5.
Yeah, the problem we had this year was they had the Sunshine Tour event being played about a week. I think it was a week after we left, maybe 10 days.
Dimension Data Pro-Am, wasn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
And if you were looking at the rankings of the patio with the massive marquee in the way of the patio, you'd be like 1, because it really detracted from what we could see. I thought normally you sit on that patio, you could see shots coming into 18 on the Montague. You could still see 18 on Oceaniqua even this time around. But I did think that was a shame. But it's going to get that because that shows the level of the golf course. It needs to be hosting proper events.
Yep.
And it had proper players playing as well.
Proper players playing. It'd be interesting actually to see where that falls this year, because that kind of marquee would take a bit of a while to put up. So that's it. I appreciate that was a bit of a marathon for everyone, but like I feel like, there's a lot of golf courses there. If you're going to go to South Africa and play, hopefully you can pull something out of what we've said on each one. So I appreciate you sticking with us there. It was a marathon, and I think for us it really completes the garden route. Like I feel I can now stand on pretty good authority and talk about all these different golf courses that we've managed to tick off over the last couple of years in South Africa.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a much different trip to the Cape Town trip that we do, where there is a bit more of a base. I think the level of golf is better on this trip that we've just walked through. We're talking some real big heavy hitters. I'm not diminishing the golf courses in Cape Town at all. I think if you're looking for purely best golf, you would do this trip. If you're looking for something a little bit more relaxed, you have a base, you have a centre of operations, and you have a bit more of a buzz and an evening atmosphere, then you'd look to do the Cape Town leg. But I think you're really hard pressed to certainly be living this side of the pond, finding somewhere as good a value in the months that are just heinous here to go golfing over the winter period.
Yeah, it is funny because I spent 3 months down there, and so I've already been there and playing golf in the sun for quite a while when the boys normally turn up, and just seeing the absolute glee on their faces when they come is always quite funny. But I think what I would just say, if I may, is for anyone listening, if you've not been to South Africa, if you've not been to the Western Cape, it has to go to the top of your travel list. It has so much to offer in the sense it gets middle of an African summer in the middle of winter for the UK. The food is incredible. The scenery is amazing. Mountains, beaches, wine. The rand is weak as you like, and so you immediately come down and you feel incredibly more affluent than you do if you're living in London. It's about a third of the price is what I would say, and the golf is really, really good if you go looking for it in the right places. And so, you know, everyone that's come always has a great time. The price it costs is always really palatable, and for me, when you mix that all in together, it is just the best place to come and go on holiday to.
Yeah, you know, everyone always just goes, "Oh, what about the security of it and this and that?" I mean, you could argue that about London. You could argue that about New York. Anywhere, just don't be wandering around with your jewelry on show at 2 a.m.
Yep.
It's no more dangerous. And actually, I think, and the reason I'm covering this is because I think it's that's the mark against it that everyone has
the
in
stigma.
their head. Yeah, and I think that the people there actually, even the criminals who are doing things like that, they don't really hit tourists unless you go in the wrong spots because the country needs it.
Yep, absolutely.
So I would say that go with someone who knows it. We're lucky enough to be a pair of people, a company that knows it, and can make sure that you see the best of a place that has so much to offer.
Absolutely, I'd say it is our bread and butter at this point. Really,
yeah.
There's nothing better than a Cape Town inquiry. So, I think that does it.
Absolutely, it's been a long one.
It's been a long one, but I said thank you very much for making it all the way to the end. I said we are Full Program Golf on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Please do like and subscribe. Until next time, Joshy boy.
Speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.